They are the mirror to the soul, the one facial feature which completes every portrait as the cherry on top. This video is all about drawing eyes. Today I want to show you 5 tips for drawing more believable eyes. I'm hoping these tips can help you as they always helped me in the past, and you can apply these to every level of stylization, be it more realistic or comic style. All fields can benefit from implementing these tricks. I will show you a good negative example of what I like to avoid when drawing eyes, and after that you'll see me drawing 5 eyes with the things I like to keep in mind. Let's dive right in with number 1, the construction of the eye. And I'm gonna start right away with my exaggerated negative example here. So if you approach drawing an eye, there are multiple intuitive thoughts crossing your mind which will kind of manipulate you into drawing an idea of an eye. And this starts with constructing the overall shape of the eye. Now it's easy to assume the eye has a general round almond shape, because that's a symbol your brain created to simplify an object, but that makes things a little bit too convenient and does not reflect a real eye and even less individual eye shapes. So to make the whole process less random and emotional, I recommend implementing some kind of structure. I like to break the general shape down into 5 lines, and I try to keep these segments in mind when I draw eyes from different angles too. I use 3 segments for the upper eye shape and 2 for the lower one. And I start the construction with straight lines. I like to emphasize the use of straight lines when you're in the construction phase, because by doing so you simply focus on the tilt and length of the lines and are not distracted by complicated shapes which have a certain random factor. You can and will round these shapes up later. Separating your process into multiple categories has the advantage of being able to focus on specific aspects which then ultimately don't intertwine with each other and distract you from essential things, like for example the overall composition and proportions. And if you keep your system up, in this case dividing the eye outline into 5 lines, you will then be able to vary these lines depending on what you want to express. This will come in handy if you draw from imagination and want to portray different characters. You will have the same basic rule for all, but you can then work within that set frame and explore different options. It's also helpful if you have the same character you draw all the time, because you can then memorize which tilt and length you use for which character. Now that you have the basic outline and shape of the eye, I want to talk about my number 2 tip, and that is to not forget about the eyelids. The eyeball is, well, a ball, and it sits inside the eye socket. The skin folding around the eyeball is the eyelid, and it is a part of the eye. When I was younger and less experienced, I would often, if so, draw the upper eyelid, but also not because I understood the anatomy behind it, but because I saw someone else doing it. What I learned now is that both eyelids are an essential part of the eye and should not be left out. To which level you implement it is up to your taste and style, but I would highly recommend drawing both eyelids to give the eye depth and 3-dimensionality. Eyes are no flat almond shape sitting on top of the face. They consist of eyeballs being protected by the eyelids. If you keep that in mind, you will also have less trouble drawing eyes from the side or other angles, since you are aware that eyes are 3-dimensional features. And again, here you can also vary the character of the eyelids by giving it more or less volume. You can also indicate the age of a person by, for example, making the eyelids more wrinkly or saggy. There are lots of options for individual changes here, but leaving them completely out of your drawing will make the eyes look really flat and unbelievable. And expanding onto this tip is the next one, which is not forgetting about the waterline or lash lines. This is a mistake beginners often make by ignoring the waterline and upper lash line, and this will be fatal later on for the lashes. It is a thin, wet barrier with a small distance away from the eyeball. I hope you can see me adding these lines onto my 5 eyes here. I use different angles to showcase when you actually see these lines. The waterline or lower lash line, for example, will be visible most of the times, and especially if the head is tilted downwards. And we have the opposite case for the upper lash line being visible if the head is tilted upwards. You can see this lash line is like a small protective barrier around the eyeball. In general, it is way more common to see the waterline versus the upper lash line, but it is still beneficial keeping it in mind that both exist, and you will see later that this is actually really important when drawing the lashes. Oh, and something I try to keep in mind here is that it's better to have the lash lines being more subtle than really bold. It's not a main feature and rarely ever so dark that it contains the darkest value, so try to be soft with drawing the waterline and not let it have a too sharp, strong outline. In the sketching phase, I treat all features and lines equally because it is about mapping out the whole plan, but keep this in mind for shading and coloring to have a subtle waterline, because you will see later on if you don't draw a waterline and lash line, it again makes your eye look more flat. Now, my fourth tip for drawing eyes revolves around the eyeball, and more specifically its color and shading. One of the biggest issues I came to realize was that the eyeball is not white. This is a common misbelief or even illusion when it comes to drawing and coloring eyes, and I'm gonna demonstrate its flaws with my negative example here and by using white charcoal as a strong contrast for everything else. So, looking at photos of eyes, you might easily be tempted to think the eyeball is white and should be colored as such. This is a false perception and results in unrealistic results, and even if you don't want to draw realistic, I would still suggest to not color the eyeball completely white. The reason is since your whole eye will be covered in white or the lightest value in your drawing, the highlight cannot stand out and will merge with the white of the eye. So what I do is when I shade or color my drawings, as you will see me doing right now, I also shade the eyeball. When you build up your values with midtones and dark tones, a tip I would give to myself is to include everything except the brightest highlight. Leave this part for later or even the last. Don't start your drawing thinking about all the highlights you want to implement, and I know it's tempting because you want to make your whole drawing pop with that nice highlight, but from my experience, highlights work best if used sparingly. If everything is highlighted, nothing is. So what I taught myself is to treat the eyeball just as another shape which requires shading. It is essentially a ball, so I like to draw a slight gradient onto it to give the eyeball depth. And as a finishing touch, I either place the highlight with white, like I'm doing right now, or in case you're drawing with graphite on white paper, this part is going to be erased and the lightest value will be the white of the paper. But you can see now how much this highlight pops out in comparison to the rest of the eye. This contrast is what makes the eye look glossy and shiny. You would not be able to achieve this by coloring the whole eye white. Subtle highlights can make a real difference. It is just the icing on the cake. It brings the eye to life, but it's funny how I remind myself to be more careful and not overdo it, while at the same time it can make such a big difference. So my advice is to bring down the tone of the eyeball a bit. There are photos you might see online where you think the eyeball definitely looks white, but this is mostly an illusion of contrast. Because all the values around the eye might be so dark, the eyeball can seem white, but I assure you it's not. In general, what I like to keep in mind is that there is rarely pure white and pure black. And of course you can do whatever you want with your art, but if you want to make highlights really stand out or dark shadows, think about contrast and don't let that bright or dark value be taken away by your other values. Let them stand out. My last tip includes eyelashes. To me, a portrait won't be complete unless I place my highlight and eyelashes. They bring the eye to the next level, and also they're just so much fun to draw and play with. And here's what I did wrong in the past. Like I mentioned before, a beginner mistake is to start the eyelashes directly on the eye outline and to forget about the waterline. You can see here how flat this eye looks like this. Also, back then I sometimes placed the lashes with an even distance from each other and pretty straight. There's this urge to make things symmetrical, but this can make things look fake and too perfect. Instead, I keep in mind to have them curve starting from the lash line and waterline. Eyelashes form clumps with each other, so they will look more organic and natural if you combine at least two lashes merging into one. Also, try to vary the length and sizes of lashes. They aren't all the same size and shape, and this will create a more harmonic, natural appearance. Try to control your pressure when drawing lashes, from applying stronger pressure closer to the waterline to lighter pressure fading out to the end of the lashes. And those were all my tips for drawing eyes. I hope you found at least some of them useful, and if you have anything to add, let me know. Like I said, these are tips I would give my younger self to improve a bit faster, and I'm hoping to be useful to you by sharing what I learned so far. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.